What's up, everyone? I'm Joe Lemon, and welcome back to the podcast. Always appreciate you guys checking in on me and hearing the latest episodes. And, you know, this whole podcasting experience, I'm trying to, spew out and really get you guys to dive into this audio place, because it's not about the downloads. Yes, those are important if you want to get ad money. I get it. But it's way bigger than that. It's about building real relationships. I know in business people throw that around, and it's honestly gets this kind of cheesy vibe about it. But man, like, I want to take a walk. I want you guys to take a walk with me down memory lane here, because it's 2 weeks ago, I was at the Digital Marketing Conference in LA in Santa Monica, and had a chance to meet a lot of great people. But I feel like I really got to know them to a degree based off the podcast interview that we did. And I plan to keep staying in touch with these guys. And that's the best part about it, right? It's like beyond just the surface level, what do you do conversations, and more into what are you passionate about and where are you taking it and what's next and what ambitions do you have moving forward. So I want you guys to sit back and enjoy this episode with Jose Barrerra. Man, we talked about a lot of things. So, it was one of those conversations where Jose walked into the booth, total strangers. I got a 2-second interview from somebody else who I recently interviewed who brought him past the booth, Ruben over at Dub. You guys got to check them out. Dub is like a video emailing platform. I'm just getting into it. I like what I'm seeing so far, but big shout out to Ruben for giving us the intro. And Jose came past the booth, man, and literally we just started chopping it up. It was just that simple. And we started talking about everything from his spiritual journey to him going to Burning Man and, his whole personal growth process and the career moves after leaving the military and then getting back into the real world and launching businesses. So, this is just one of those conversations that we covered a lot of it. I mean, and I think where we're going to pick up is right whenever he's bringing his wife to the U.S. from Russia. I think it's a good place for us to start. So we were just kind of flowing, and I was like, man, we got to press record and capture this for the podcast. He was open to it. We kept it going. And, you guys should totally let him know how you guys feel about the podcast. And please always subscribe. Let me know if you guys are feeling this content. This one's going to be a little more free-flowing. So I'm just going to have the whole conversation there. But really, really good mixture of just like the whole work-life balance play and really understanding how that looks. We get into all of it. So sit back and enjoy this conversation with Jose Barrerra from TriNet.
Of course, man. Look, to each his own, her
of
own.
Course,
like we were all writing our story, but
Yep.
to me personally, it's just that is, every decision you're making is sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yeah.
But when you're telling that story when you're 90, like, okay, I lived my life. Do you want to say I regret not doing that, or I wish I had done this?
Can't live with that piece, man.
Right?
Yeah,
I'd rather be
seriously,
like, okay, I did it. Sometimes it's like, oh man, you learned. But at least it's like, I tried.
You weren't going to be able to rest properly.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you'd have had that, if you'd have not chased and not, went after the way you did, you probably wouldn't have been,
No.
a little bit of sleepless nights, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you grow. It pushes you, right?
Yeah.
But that's how you grow. And I remember going back to my boss, who was like a homie, right? The guy helped me develop into the businessman that I became, like mentor me, like help me choose a market from within this big industry and really chase it on, and he did a lot for me.
Yeah.
And when I struggled, like, we're such close friends that he wouldn't dare ever, fire me or say anything bad. He's like, okay, how can I help? Right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot. So then coming to him and say, hey, Mike,
I'm out.
Yeah. It was.
Was he pissed or was he happy with it?
So I tell you what, man. Like, the
How'd
guy,
that
like,
go?
I've met a lot of salespeople in my life, and a lot of CEOs and CFOs and whatever. And Mike is like an exceptionally good businessman. I think, like, sucks to say, but I think that those super rich sales cats always have the little bit extra where, like, when they have to choose between themselves and the client, they tend to choose themselves. Mike had that in a way that, like, he was very small, but also was this insane salesperson. So, he's a boss of the company, but he still has that salesperson within, which is what made him get ahead. So when I go sit with this guy, I thought, okay, we're going to take our mask off and we're going to have a heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
But somehow when I left that meeting, it was my idea to stay in the company 3 more months and meet these and these goals.
He's a hell of a sales guy, man.
And I was just so, like, going on, like, yeah, of course I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Then I'm going to go to Russia just fine.
Yeah.
And like a week passes, and I'm kind of okay working on these goals. And like next week, I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So then I bought my ticket to Russia. I went and got my Russian visa.
Yeah.
And then I rescheduled a meeting. And I, hey, Mike, let's talk. And I quit. And I say, dude, like, look, man, I love you. You did a lot for me, but I'm sure you can understand where I'm at. And like, I want to do this.
So this is 2 weeks in between that initial conversation about you planning to leave, and then he kind of sold you on ideas, staying around for 3 months. 2 weeks went by? Is that it?
About 2 weeks went by, yeah. About 2 weeks went by.
That's quick.
And then because like ultimately, like, I knew what I wanted. And,
yeah, man.
And I was in a way impressed, right? Like, he got in my head and it made me think that it was somehow my idea. And I'm like, wow, like, he's who he is because he is.
Yeah.
But also, like, hey, come on, like, this is my life. Like, I want to go pursue this. Yep. I know I'll be okay. And if I got to come back, I'm sure you'll let me back in, so it's fine. But I need to do this. So it took about another month from that point on for me to leave the U.S. And I went to St. Petersburg, where she was at this point. And then the journey truly began, man, because like her life had just been kind of shattered, right? So now I show up in St. Petersburg after she told me to come, and now she's being kind of strange. She's kind of like, "What's up? You know, you're here, but I'm not really open. I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Like everything's so confusing."
She's lost. Well, I mean, not lost, but because her life is in limbo now, right?
Yeah. So
she's thinking about coming back to the U.S., but she can't come, and
there's this American cat that's just like, hey, you just say yes, I'll make it happen, right? To me, he's like, this is my woman. Like, you're gonna come back with me. Like, I'll figure this out. But
did you guys K1 it?
Huh?
Did you guys do the K1?
We did the K1.
Yeah,
we did the K1
visa
for sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so I went
move,
and I had talked to a few lawyers to figure out what our options were.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, I'll go get the girl, and I come back, and I had a friend doing enterprise sales at Cisco, so I figured, okay, like there's money anywhere. Like you'll be fine. Now, it takes a while to get to enterprise sales at Cisco, right? You have to be in the game for a while.
It's good money when you get there, though.
It's great money. This guy was bringing like $35K a month in commissions. So like the money's it's juicy. But I'm like, okay, like I'll find a way. You know?
Right.
So I go there. I spent this summer with her between Russia and then traveling all throughout Europe, trying to like butter her up and be like, hey, you know, this is going to be good. You just say yes. It was an incredible experience. I mean, I lived in Europe for a while, but it's different just to truly go backpacking with no plans and buying a ticket out of the airport to decide where you want to go. And now we're the girl that you like. And now, look, I think what really solidified it, I've been skateboarding my whole life.
Okay.
And I was in Barcelona with her, which Barcelona is the mecca of skateboarding.
Oh, they said it's sick out there. I haven't been, but all my guys that go through Barcelona say it's the city to hit up in Europe.
Barcelona is sick. And she can ride a skateboard really well. So now I'm like in my dream city again, skateboarding all the time, and she's riding with me. Dream City. Oh, dude, it was like
skateboard style. All right.
That's kind of what did it. I remember, like that's where I had a ticket to fly back to the U.S. and I missed my flight. I stayed on us for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And traveled with her, and then at the end of like 2 months altogether, it was okay. Well, like now I got to go back to the U.S. and figure this out. What I'm gonna do. Had some friends that had a startup that I truly believed in. That I wanted to like partake, and also another one that I wanted to at least say, hey, I gave it a shot. I don't know how this is going to work, but there is something good there to pursue, so let's give it a shot. So I came back, and we're trying to figure things out. I was also going to Burning Man, so it was like, you know, I was still kind of checked out. I was still trying to figure things out.
Talk about Burning Man, dude, because I was thinking about going out that way, man. But I've heard nothing but I've heard it's a lot of who you go with. I've heard that matters a lot, but the amount of experiences that people have out there seem ridiculous.
I think everyone should go to Burning Man. I
Really?
think it's for everyone.
Is it about the community and all that too that you catch? Is that a piece of it?
It's about being able to experience reality from a place you just never been able to. You have
Wow.
to think. So like there's life as you know it.
Yep.
As you lived according to money, marketing, fashion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, your sense of community, what you have to do to get by in any community.
Capitalistic culture and everything else that's in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're going to take everything you know about life and flip it upside down.
100%.
It truly is the underworld, right? Like we have our
Wow.
rules that we live by to maintain society.
Yeah.
Right? They created their own rules to keep it this way. And they're so good about it, like not allowing marketing, for example. Not like truly asking you to be fully submerged in the experience, to be inclusive, to partake in everything, to take care of yourself. They have 10 different rules that truly push you to just be part of this thing. And being able to see life from a completely different perspective, those huge things for you. There's a reason why it's now big, even amongst the tech community.
Yeah, it's huge in tech.
Head out because
yeah.
you get to see life from a different angle that otherwise you just can't. And then it's biggest thing that I say, just like life, whatever eyes you have is what you're going to see.
So they kind of give you is it an intro, like when you get out there, they say, hey, these are the rules. This is the only infrastructure you got to worry about, and they kind of try to get you to have that shift. Is that a piece of the?
They send you that when you get a ticket, right? You see everything because it's a big pilgrimage. I remember like my first time going.
How much does it cost, by the way?
A ticket is like let's say $500 altogether with taxes per ticket.
Wow, that's not bad. Yeah,
but even
because you're out there for how long? I'm sorry to cut you off.
It's about 8 days. Well,
okay, sure. That's great.
If you do 7 days. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you got to think it's if you think as far as value for your money, it's as good as it gets because once you're in there, everything's free.
Really?
Everything's free. Like
food and all that?
Food and all that. Everything.
What?
Yeah. So it's a gifting economy. Meaning the best way to put it is like, look, now it's like on the money we make, we pay taxes, right?
Yep.
To keep the roads going, to keep that going. And if you make $1 million, you're going to pay 40%. If you make $100K, you pay 35, whatever, right?
Yeah.
There is like if you make $1 billion, you can contribute a camp. You contribute a camp. If you make $1 million, you want to contribute an art card, you give an art card. If you have to make $100K, you want to contribute some coconuts, give coconuts. If you can give a smile, dude, then give a smile.
Wow.
But it's been going on for so long at this point that when you step into that culture, it just kind of takes you forward. And like, everyone is super happy. Everyone is super friendly. Everyone is like willing to do these things because of what they've curated.
Wow.
And it's, that's part of it. So it's like now imagine you show up and all you have to do is carry a cup with your name on it and maybe like your ID card glued onto it because you can be a kid and go to Burning Man. And there's a lot of kids that actually go.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man. I've seen like babies, which I'm not kind of cool because it can get dusty, but
yeah.
Some young parents is like, okay, it's Burning Man. Like, I want to go. Like,
wow.
I'm going to take the kid.
Dude, I like this. I haven't gone. Me and my good friend from high school, we were talking about going out there next year. But it's like, I love that concept of flipping this world on its head and having a whole new set of rules.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we just need a paradigm shift. That's it.
Yeah.
You just need to change how you view the infrastructure. Like for so long, we're pushed down our throats like, this is the way. You go to school, you graduate, get the degree, get the job, get the girl, get the house, move on. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
I mean, and you almost believe that's the path, right?
Yeah.
You're on that path, and you're like, this is the beaten path. I'm on it. And what happens, unfortunately, is that when you're on this beaten path, there's nothing but expectations of what the next step should be.
Yeah.
And you lose being in the moment.
Of course.
Because you're on the path that everybody's been down. So you're like, all right, how can I get down this path faster? How can I make more money on this path? How can I, blank, 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 you know what I mean?
And it's not your path. You're not deciding that. It's been decided. And the thing is like, often it's some cat that's not any smarter than you, but just 20 years ago decided that's the reason. Now you're just doing this.
Yep.
Right? So like you don't get a choice when you get there and you kind of feel, even just fashion, like, there you dress as you please.
I see the pictures, which is crazy. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, man, I can do something else. Nobody's going to say anything? No, okay, fine. Like, there's no expectations. You can do as you please. It's truly, like, puts you in a spot, like, okay, like truly self-discovery.
Wow.
And I think California is a lot more hippie, but I've had friends that are Europeans that come from, if you're in London, it's like you're going to do finance or real estate.
Yeah.
Right? And you're... Same, you're stuck in that, and everyone's been doing it for so long. Now you come here, and you go, come in LA, it's super hippie, okay, just got this thing to it. Then you go to Burning Man, and it's like, it's a whole different world. And I have friends that just kind of quit everything to start something else, go into art. And they're like, man, like I never saw this. Or like become a yoga instructor and just travel the world and figure something else that is like, hey, this is truly me.
You know what's wild about that, and at least things I think about, is this how, the internet's allowing people to do it anyway, because you can now be a yoga instructor, host a couple yoga retreats, and make a killing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So before, whereas the money was limited, you're like, okay, yoga instructor, I can only teach a class, every couple hours a day, and so I can only make blank,
Yeah.
But now it's like you can scale it. You can sell videos online. I mean, there's so many ways to kind of go about monetizing your passion.
Yeah.
It's the internet's kind of opened people up for that.
Absolutely. And, it encourages you to just go out and do something else. Like, the tools are there for you, right?
Yeah.
So now it's whatever that extra push might be, right? For me, it was kind of quitting. For me, it was a girl.
Yeah.
It was a girl, right?
Yeah.
Which I think for everyone's, is often the case. And then quitting everything. And I came from a very structured place. Military gives you everything.
Yep.
Get out, work with. Even then, I knew they hook you up with, benefits to go to school. So I kind of had that beforehand. I knew where I was going to go.
Right.
And then going into structured corporate jobs. I was so stuck in this to where the idea of going for feeding a salary and start from the beginning and taking a freelancer thing, if you will, it was just scary from a corporate world.
So I got to ask the question then, man, because we're kind of beating around it, but what's the passion now, man? I mean, you have the girl. You've journeyed off, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no. So everything worked out. There was a good year when nothing was working, right?
Yeah.
So I won the tech route. I always knew I was going to start a company. But I didn't
Talk about the
know.
year whenever nothing was working a little bit, if you don't mind doing that.
Oh, man. I mean, it was look, I'm a very laid back guy, and I can always see the positive in things. But internally, there's a lot of things you're like, man, I don't know what's going on. My savings are just dwindling up. I've had a loft in downtown LA where I was paying $2,000 a month, and up my savings every month.
Wow.
And I was traveling here and there. I got lucky enough to rent it out a couple of times for film shoots to kind of help out.
Yep.
But it was that struggle. And then, there was a startup that I wanted to take on. A few friends of mine had launched this thing. We got on iTunes, or we got on the Apple Store.
Okay.
We started really pushing it. I felt that the concept was incredible, but the development had not been that great, and they were missing a business strategy where if you're an investor, why would you invest in this? If you're a user, truly, why would you go to this? Which is a lot of the issues in the tech world is there's not the right fit, right? And you didn't think about that. You have a great idea, but it requires an economic crisis for people to even look at this thing.
That's a great point.
So I took over the company, not having management experience of a tech startup.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting.
Took it as far as I could and learned so much along the way. But the more that I realized how bad of a job we had done with mismanaging resources and now trying to figure this out. And my co-founder had this Steve Jobs mentality. Now the kid is absolutely brilliant, right? Where you go meet with him, and I will bring BCG, McKinsey consultants, venture capitalists, and all these people, and he can outsmart them all. But he had this Steve Jobs kind of Jesus complex of I know better than you. And often you go into a meeting and you don't know walking out if, am I crazy or is he crazy, right? And then
I've worked with a guy like that before, man.
It was tough.
They could be brilliant minds, but there's all types of intelligence out there, and one is being able to socialize. Emotional intelligence is real,
I mean, and just honestly learned that okay, you can make mistakes, and that's what he wasn't seeing. We go into a board meeting and try to pitch, and if people didn't get it, right, he wouldn't think oh, I need to do a better job at explaining it. He'll think, these guys are idiots, or they just don't quite get it.
One of those, So
when I took over, now I'm trying to restructure the pitch deck and talk to people again and talking to other founders and learning from them. And I'll pitch, and they'll say okay, this is great, but you need to figure this out. You need to do this. You need to do that. Or hey, maybe say it this way. I will take that and if I went to pitch to you and you didn't get it, it was never you. I'm I need to be able to deliver this,
right.
And when I first linked up with these guys, they had a trial for me where they pitched it over 3 different days, which was great because they wanted to test their teammates. I get it. But now you couldn't pitch for more than 5-10 minutes one concept. You have to tell me what it was.
Yeah.
Which what we're doing, we're simply open sourcing projects and ideas in one platform where if you have an idea to, for example, start a podcast company, you put in there what you're trying to do, really sell it well. And you say, okay, I need this many people, I need a sales team, I'm looking for this sponsor, I need this much money. And then once you put it in there, it sends it to the network like an Uber.
Yep.
And people just get notified. Okay, this guy's doing this, that. And then you see it moving in real time as it's gaining traction.
Interesting.
And the whole concept was just kind of to facilitate the
That's
creative
actually
process.
Still, I don't see that out there right now in the market. I was about to say like Angel.co has a platform for you to hire people.
Right. So there's a few companies
Kickstarter, to raise money.
Do things similar, right? We're trying to bring different projects on board. There's a company now that we're working with, founded by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that is the same for the creative world. Meaning if you're an actor or just any kind of creative, you can post little things here and there.
Yep.
And then you can collaborate with others, or companies can buy whatever snippets you're creating. If it's a podcast or if it's like a video, then if anybody picks it up, you get paid for it. So I've seen people taking a stab at this idea, and I do think once they get it, it'll just open source the market. It'll facilitate a lot of things. But it's just tough to get started. And that's what every investor, every person is asking me, okay, how do you start? What's your market? Where do you go, right? And I started by saying, okay, LA market, it's too big. Come on, give me something else. Okay, we're going to go with schools. At the end, I said, let's do it Burning Man. Because Burning Man, you're going to have 1,000 projects all at once in 1 week.
People are there launching projects off.
Oh, you got to think. Everything is, if you and I want to go, we want to join a camp, right? It's not like a camp's been there. So we have to virtually figure out how everything's going to go. And then let's say, like in my camp, it's about 150 of us.
Okay.
Berlin, San Francisco, and LA.
Yeah.
And we have to do everything virtual. Use whatever tools we have to figure out how to make the camp come to life.
It's like an open source project management type of setup.
It's all it is. I'm like, dude, this is we have to do it for Burning Man. But then co-founder at this point is like, no, I don't believe in their idea. I mean, he also is very Christian, which is the other fault, because he was trying to push his idealism onto everyone.
That's tough.
Which, look, I'm very spiritual myself, and I'm very respectful of religion. My roommate is Muslim, but it's one thing to push that onto everyone and say you're wrong for this, as it is to have your own personal belief.
Yeah.
So after so much time struggling with this, now the K1 thing was working out. My girl was coming here.
Okay.
I needed to get back to making some kind of money to sustain two people, right? You can only play the tech rap for so long. And look, the experience was great. I had a year of, like, to me, it felt like, in a way, vacation, right? I was growing. I was doing things that I wanted. I was passionate about it, which I think, even if you struggle, I think LA has that about it, where here, struggle feels like success just because you're doing what you want.
It's funny how it happens, isn't it? Yeah.
And
LA is different from that standpoint, because you get a chance to, we got the beach right behind us, and it feels like you can get away at any moment. But there's plenty of hustle happening here too.
It's everywhere, man. It's everyone's story. Like, people come from everywhere. Like,
100%. I mean, every time you hop in an Uber, talking about Uber concepts, there's a guy who probably has 5 different gigs behind the wheel. Yeah. At least 2. Mm-hmm. I mean, no, I haven't met one Uber driver that says, I just do this. They're either acting, they're startup land. You know what I mean? Like, there's I love it all.
Every story, every person you meet is like, it's one place where I do like asking, where do you come from? Because, like, I don't care what you do. I care why you do it.
Yeah.
And everyone has that. Everyone is like, oh, I came here for so-and-so to do this. Like, oh, that's great. Wow. And how's it been along the way? It's like, oh, let me tell you a story. Right?
Everybody's got an LA story, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one, man. Yeah.
So either way, like, I had to... Everyone's telling me at this point, and we had a team of like 16 people working on this that were like very smart cats, right? From like a money standpoint, consulting, again, we had like BCG, McKinsey, and Bain guys on this, like, just assistant. We had guys working on a pitch deck. We had a lot. Wow. And everyone's like, dude, just start again. We'll help you figure it out. Just leave Adam. That was the co-founder. And I'm like, okay, like, I'll give it a shot. But it's also tough now working on this and believing in it. And abandoning, the software we built, but it's for better. So I left, and I was lucky enough to have met a friend, a VC that worked with this company called TriNet. Yeah. When I put myself into the job market, I think the one good thing people look at is you can go try whatever you want, and people value it. They don't say like, oh, you left to start a company, or you left to do this. No. They're like, oh, that's great. I'm sure you learned something along the way. So
that's what, for people that don't take risk or big jumps. That's one thing I think they don't really understand.
Yeah.
Is that when you go into an interview with someone, because I've failed at 3 different businesses now. One turned out okay, but 2 were really bad.
Yeah.
And when I sit down at a table and we go through the interview process and we're getting to know each other, I mean, literally, you can kind of loosen things up, especially if you're talking to like a CEO, because you're like, I've been there. Maybe not on the same level. Your business is $40 billion. Mine was only $400,000.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's 2 different worlds. But I know how it is to be a leader, and some of this the basic struggles of owning certain things. You know what I mean?
Dude, you learn so much.
You learn so much, bro. And so it automatically allows you to have a perspective that's unifying. That I don't think people will understand if you don't take the risk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So no, to be honest, the market was quite happy about it. I had a lot of good offers. One of them was this company trying it, and now it's like my girl is here. I need to get this going, right? Like a year and a half of living off savings and whatever little funding we had, like especially paying rent in downtown LA, it goes.
Come on, man. I'm in Pasadena. I feel the pain.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
with you,
man. Like
it goes quick, bro.
It's so it was like, okay, now like savings are out. Let's get back to it. Chick is here, so like it's 2 massive feet. And now with that same story, this company trying to reach out to me, and I had met a girl that worked there. She was a VC director. We went on a sailing trip with one of the VCs that I knew. And she talked about it briefly, and TriNet had paid for the trip. Which that's all I knew. Right? Okay, this company TriNet, something like HR-ish, paid for this trip, and the girl was cool. And then a recruiter called me and talked for like 40 minutes about this company that you can outsource your legal department and your HR, and just this entire function of the business where they help you with the risk and mitigation, and they give you Fortune 100 benefits when you're like a 30-person company. And they, having been a startup founder, where like you see all these struggles and all you want is time to focus on like
the main business,
and not the admin stuff. I was like, what? Like you can do that? Like people do this for you? And then at the end of the kind of this first interview, the guy's like, yeah, this company TriNet, and I'm like, oh, I know a chick that works there, right?
Yeah.
So like, look, I recruiter's a salesperson.
Yep.
He's got to sell me on this. So I call her and I say, hey, Aneta, like, there's this guy talking to me about this company, TriNet. It's like, can he shoot it to me straight? She's like, man, like in the tech space, there's only a few guys that do this. This is really good. Like, give it a shot. It's a good salary.
Who's your competition right now? Is it Workday? And who else?
Our real competition is ADP Total Source.
Okay, ADP.
A company called Insperity.
Yep.
And then there's one out of San Francisco, smaller one called Sequoia One. There's a bunch.
Sequoia, yeah.
There's a bunch of these ones, but
those are the main guys.
Everyone's offering slightly different. We're all great companies, but I think we make it more like an attractive package. We don't try to hide it. We make like a flat fee.
Yeah.
Once you reach a point where you have to leave, like for example, we help WeWork, Snapchat, Airbnb.
Yeah.
A bunch of these big companies get to where they're at.
Yeah.
And by the time they reach that point of like, hey, you're 150 people, you're paying a lot of money for something you can do in-house. We help you transition. We don't try to keep you in. We're like, hey, man, like, if you want to pay us, by all means, but the system starts getting clunky when you get that big.
Yeah.
And also, you can pay someone a very nice salary to do everything we're doing for you. So, again, it was a very, like, value-first type company. I'm
That's
like, it just makes sense. If you're a tech person, if you're launching a company like a PEO, such as TriNet, it just makes sense. So I took that, and I went and interviewed, and every time that they asked me, you left the company a year and a half ago, and you're doing this, you had that, and I talk about the story, like, nobody said like, oh, no, that's bad. It was like, okay, that's great, wow, it's cool. And having now, like help tech startups launch and scale with our tool sets and then the network and ecosystem, but now it's like I bring true, real experience to
change the conversation.
That talk. Absolutely, like it's not just like I'm trying to sell you something. I'm like, man, like I'm trying to help. Some companies are smaller where like it just doesn't make sense to come on board.
Yep.
So I help them scale to a point where like, hey, man, like now it makes sense for you to talk.
I'm really curious to know, have you been able to really build up a stronger network because you're in this space and you're talking to these CEOs and you're talking to these to these businesses that are trying to scale, and they're like, shit, man, I don't have the HR guy, I don't have the legal guy, but I have a vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think tech is truly an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it's knowing everyone within it.
Yep.
Because if you come in
It's
with...
tight too, man.
Yeah.
It's like everybody talks, investors know who's spending money on what.
I mean, you have to think, it's for everyone. Yeah, it's a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for everyone, whether it's an investor or is trying it, or as an outsourced CMO company, an outsourced CTO company, an outsourced CFO company, all these service providers, everyone wins when you win.
Yeah.
So truly, everyone's there to help you, right?
Hmm.
Even companies that might make it easy for you to launch, right? If you have a good idea, if you're good people, and they see something in you, everyone's willing to help because everyone wins. Now, it's just kind of really, truly knowing what's worth it, where to spend your time, what to spend your money, who to really talk to. There is so many different shades to this, right?
Yeah.
You might have some investors that are used to having companies exit at 1,000x what they put in, that might want to get you to get to that point. You have some investors that want you to get like 10x. So you have to just kind of know who you get in bed with, right? It's going to be a long relationship. Same, when you come to trying it, we work by verticals. I work only tech.
Okay.
So I'm not going to help
Tech
you.
only vertical.
Yeah, so I'm not going to just send you to a person that works in manufacturing for help.
Sure.
I know the tech space. I facilitate whatever you need within the tech space, right? If you go with someone like ADP Total Source and Spurdy, great freaking companies, but they're big in manufacturing.
Yeah.
You're in a different industry.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't match up well.
So it's just kind of knowing that, and to me, it's everything. We host events all the time to help early stage founders learn these things, and it's just plugging yourself into the ecosystem, talking to people, and I mean it's easy. You can get quotes from everyone. You can talk to everyone, and then talk to investors, and then investors will see oh man, you've done your research. You know what it requires for you to launch this company.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have a quote from all these guys. You can't forecast how much money you're going to make. You're going to be wrong about it, but you can forecast how much money you're going to spend.
Sure.
Right? And then people can be well, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, so, Jose, I want to run some things past you because one of the conversations that I'm getting into, and one of the, I love where this conversation is going already, man. I feel like I'm just getting started, but tell me if you got a breakaway at any moment.
No, dude, go ahead.
All right, cool. So, especially from the standpoint of, having a job that's comfortable, right? And then in a place where I know people, to me, people matter so much in what type of work I do because, one, I don't want to spend my time and skill set serving a bad, organization or things that people are up to some BS that's bringing out people. So I'm big into doing the right work. Service work is how I kind of view it.
Yeah.
So, and then working with good people is just good for my own self, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want to have anybody that's going to be trying to chip away at me and, causing me to go home to my wife pissed off about what the hell happened at the job. That's over. So those two things are happening. Shit's pretty comfortable. But I'm not a comfortable type of guy.
Right.
And one of the opportunities I'm seeing in the marketplace, me being a guy that's big into health and wellness, work for a medical device company, is how workspace is changing.
Yeah.
Especially in tech.
Yeah.
Because there's more and more people working from home. You probably see this a lot on the HR side. And I feel like the whole tech industry leads the way of the whole future of work and how that's kind of evolving.
Of course, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on how tech is kind of evolving with how people are working at tech companies? Do you see companies being able to operate through Slack only? I mean, because there's so many people that are just allowing the people to work from wherever, or do you see people still going into offices? Or tell me what you're seeing, I guess, down the field.
So I think truly, having been both on the table, tech tries to figure out a way to optimize things on every route, right? I do believe that there's a very psychological thing about being in an office space that can make you work better, that will be more motivating. I think that the co-working space effect is often that you're surrounding people just hustling, right?
Yep.
Figuring things out. They facilitate, if you want coffee, beer, whatever, we work. It's there. They're
you go to those spots, man, especially here in LA. I don't mean to cut you off, man, but the WeWork's, the one downtown, the one in Hollywood. I mean, those things are bubbling, man. You go in there, there's a certain energy going on.
Absolutely.
If you woke up feeling like a lazy bum because you just hit a spiff or whatever, or commission,
Yeah.
And then you go in those spots, kind of they definitely wake you up a little bit. But
of course. So no, I think when you talk about Slack, and there's all these other tools you can use that are designed just for that, right? And I think tech companies, there's truly, like, it's a great job market now, and there's like a war for talent, right? How do I get the big guys, and then how do I get these guys to truly perform, right? So some people, it's like, okay, like, you have the office to come in and work, from it if you need it, but you can do the work from home if you can, right? Look, I work from home for many years, and the psychological aspect of being in an office is missed, man. You have to discipline yourself.
Yeah.
And it's tough. I mean, I was military where, like, I thought I had discipline, and, like, now it's like, oof, man, like, there's nobody watching me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be done working by noon thinking I'm going to get fired because what else am I going to do the rest of the day?
Yeah.
And you can use those extra 6 hours, 4 hours in a better way, but if there's nobody there to watch you, or friends or colleagues around you, if there's not a clear cut of what you do with your time, like, it's a learning experience where I do think.
How are you handling it, man, right now personally? Because you work from home. I work from home as well, but I know that could be,
I have office space. So I have
Okay.
the option. So I work from
Good.
home if I choose to,
Yep.
which is great for some things. Some things is just good to be in the office.
Yeah. Do you guys have a workspace, or do you guys have a set location here in LA?
We help WeWork scale to where they are now. So we
Okay.
have a partnership with them now
Smart
at this
move.
point. And we have the office space there. I mean, and there's
That's
so
great.
many
That's great.
startups and WeWorks that it just makes sense for us to be there.
Yeah. That's your whole customer base too, right? I mean, you probably hang out in there, and you can meet potential clients.
So being outside sales, I work with bigger clients, but I do help those clients, or at least talk to, like, my inside sales team. Some of them, once they're migrating, I mean, it's just good to be in the space and at least educate them on what we do and the options they have.
Yeah.
I think once you reach that breaking point of, okay, we have some funding, we're a company, and now we still have to start hiring, and then it starts getting complex. You're like, oh crap, like,
Planting seeds, man.
and then, like, you open an office now in Arizona or, like, Nevada, and, like, now it gets 3 times as complex because you have multi-state laws, and there's all these things. You're like, oh crap, like, how do I navigate this?
I was going to show you something really quick while we're jamming, man. My buddy who's in the real estate showed me this this company called Second Home. Are you familiar with these guys?
No.
So they're actually based out of London.
Okay.
And they've been opening up these workspaces that are, like, really nature-centric type of co-working spaces.
Sure.
They're opening one in Hollywood, man. And it's pretty sick how it looks, man. But I think they shipped in like 6,000 plus plants, so it's like a nature type setup vibe inside of a co-working space.
Yeah.
And these clear pods you can kind of work out of. But anyway, just talking about that.
Well, let me see it.
Yeah. Just talking about the whole ambiance of.
Oh, dude, it's huge, man. Like, man, I used to go to BCG, so that was one of my routes. Like, thinking of heading that consulting route.
Yeah.
And I would go to the office in downtown LA, and I had never seen anything like that. Like, my at the time, my roommate was working for these guys, and the office hours were quite intense. Very good life. You want to talk how to optimize work? These guys were amazing at it. But you go to that office, and it was like a mixture between, like, a jungle and, like, a tech space in this incredible view. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Where's that? Downtown?
It's the top floor of the Paul Hastings buildings in downtown.
Yeah.
Now, having plants and a green space on it and curating that experience makes it so much. My place is full of plants, dude.
Yeah, I mean, dude, another piece of this conversation I want to get into, because it seems like you got some cool experiences there, is talking a little bit about this spiritual journey that you obviously kind of went on. Or are you going through because your wife's into that piece of it as well? Or
yeah, so my wife is a spiritual coach, which, coming from a hard military life and business background, it was. I mean, I've always been religious in a way. I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
I'm Colombian, right? It's like, there's not many
really?
choices there. Yeah. And then at some point.
Which city in Colombia?
It's called Bucaramanga. It's like,
Bucaramanga, okay.
It's like in the inner parts. Beautiful place.
I was in Medellin earlier this year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Medellin's dope,
sick,
man.
dude.
Yeah. We had a great time there.
No, Colombia's great, man. It's such a happy place. This energy that is just hard to find anywhere else.
The part about Colombia that shocked me, and so I went down there with a couple friends from just graduated from Stanford, so they met a lot of people at Stanford together, and we all went down as a group. And what I was shocked about is every Friday, these guys just party like it was like the end of the year.
Oh.
I mean, and I don't mean like we were drunk and all that. I mean, like we just connected.
It's
and
the energy.
It was so like it was lighthearted and it was family centric.
Yeah.
And it was just like you know what I mean? Like people just brought their cousins out and we ate food.
Man,
it was just like I wasn't ready for that.
People are so happy.
That's
you
the
gotta
part.
think in Colombia, like you're born with like nothing, right? So
Yeah.
anything above nothing is like celebration.
Yeah.
So now the country's doing a little better. I mean, it doesn't compare. Middle class in Colombia does not even come close to middle class in America, but it's just a truly happy place. You don't need much to live and get by. And like there, it's a good balance of like life comes first, right? And then like work comes around it to support that life. But life comes first.
Have you ever thought about going back down there? Because that was one of the pieces that we were down there looking at, is all the opportunities, just purely off the arbitrage.
Absolutely.
I mean, like,
I think right now it's a great time to be in LA.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
The tech space and, Elon Musk trying to fix traffic for us and all these things.
Yeah.
But I do think at some point of making a move down there, taking what I've learned here and starting something there and enjoying that life. Now, LA will always be my hub. I'll try to keep a house here and then, just take the California package. Let's be real. It's uncomparable. You don't get that else in the world, right? So, like, I appreciate that. I'm very outdoorsy person. I rock climb, I snowboard, I skateboard. I love the national parks, but there's other places that still offer great things. Colombia has this beautiful energy and happiness to it, and gorgeous women and cheap food and other things.
Cheap food, it's simple. I mean, but it's packed full of energy. It's fun. I mean, you know what I mean?
It's a paradise, man.
It really is. I was talking to my boy Ahmed about it. And it's just like I'm like that's La La Land, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Because it's mad relaxed. And it's just like, what you see is what you get, but it's relaxed with it, though. And it's just good energy, man. Check out that spot. Check out the building.
That's here?
Yeah, well, it's going to open up in July, so next month. But it's a co-working spot. It's called Second Home. Yeah, London-based co-working, networking. They're opening it up. And, yeah, Hollywood Target Center. So it's coming up. It's under construction. But, yeah, they import 6,500 plants. So it's like they literally have these – and there's a video, too, but this internet's slow. But it's like little tubes where people work out, like these glass – tubes, I guess, and you can go there and they're gonna have all these plants around it, and I'm just like, man, that's the piece of.
That's your homie?
So this is not his project, but he was just telling me about the project. So
okay.
yeah.
Damn.
I mean, and I was like, dude, that type of setup is like you can see the positive. Check that out
for sure.
And I'm like, and I'm sitting here like, man, we talk about the California package. It's shit like that.
That's the California package for sure.
You come there, you already know it's gonna be sunny. Chances of it raining is freaking slim. You can go to the beach, you can go hiking, and you can get your work done in a cool
dude, that's an obvious. I would love to walk in.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
For sure.
And so me and my friend went down to Colombia to kind of tell you what we were up to, and we were looking at real estate projects down there. The real estate market's different down there, obviously, than it operates here. You got to have cash up front, and so you got to buy out buildings. They don't really do like a lot of loans through the banks and everything else. So it's a little different there. But man, just the idea, I'm like, I don't know why people wouldn't want to come down here, and because you had this idea of it, right? And you're sold this Pablo Escobar, I mean, that's what.
I get it.
That's what they sold us, and so I'm like, when I got there, I'm like, this is not even. It was super nice, super friendly, just people that were just like always genuine. If I need directions, it's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going downtown was easy. I mean, I'm sure there's spots I probably should have stayed out of, and so I did. But but the tourist traps.
Dude,
I mean, it was the best.
So the one thing is, I think Colombians love foreigners.
Okay.
And in Colombia, you have this thing. You're helpful, right? Everyone's helpful.
Yeah.
I always see people I just can't get no for an answer.
Yeah. Don't wait till we know.
I remember being in Morocco with my girl, and everyone tries to help you, and it's just great. I'm being Colombian, this is nice.
Yeah.
Because they want your money, right? They're like, I'll walk you to the hotel, this and that. And they're like, okay, give me your money. I'm like, oh, come on. And to me, it was like, having been from a similar culture, but that doesn't charge you for it.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man, this is.
Yeah.
But either way, to each his own. There is just that. People are just truly helpful, kind. Yeah. And now they're opening up the gates to a lot of tourism. Like Medellín's become very touristy. Cartagena is really touristy.
Yeah.
So perhaps it'll influence a bit of change, but it's still in a great time, or they're very welcoming and very kind. And look, are there shitty spots? Yeah, of course, man. Every place in the world has got it.
Everywhere.
But I think you can kind of tell.
You can't go walk through Compton tonight, man. You know, by yourself. You know, with your money in your hand.
Dude,
I mean,
exactly.
it's gonna be a problem there,
you
man.
gotta be smart about it, right? It's like
you can't walk through Beverly Hills that way. You know what I'm saying? With a stack full of cash.
Yeah. So same there. You know, like okay, like you know, perhaps if you're out of your comfort zone, then just don't push it.
Yep.
If it's not good for you, maybe perhaps you're going to attract that guy to come jack you. If you're like, if you're feeling like, man, someone's gonna steal from me. If I go here and you still do it, and you're kind of walking around scared like a victim,
don't go.
Perhaps you will end up a victim.
Yep.
So, now to back to you talk about the spiritual journey.
Yeah, please.
And what drew me to that. So at some point I kind of not abandoned, but started finding my own route and left the Catholic Church because I felt, based on historical accounts, it hadn't been the most or the best church, you know, based on some things they had done.
Sure.
But I still feel like this is very close to my heart. There is something real here. I just don't know that what they're saying verbatim is what it is. So it's my own practice. Didn't really follow anything. And then my wife now, Xenia, spiritual coach, has dedicated her whole life to this. And the chick is bright, right?
Yeah.
The chick is like, you get into any debate, any argument, like, be ready to be like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Now you get into your spiritual person and you come like this. I'm like, I'd love to jump into like a good debate.
Yeah.
And most times I have to be like, okay, you're right. You know, and you know, people hear spirituality and they think it's like this juju, and it's like, no, like, in her end, it's truly a very internal thing.
Yeah.
And it's often our perception of reality. You know, it's things that when we're growing up, perhaps your parents were not the most loving. Perhaps they were, and it changes your entire life. Perhaps when you were younger, you were scared of something because your mother was scared of something. And then you grow up like not taking risks because of that reason, and you're completely unaware. So her spirituality, I mean, although she does believe in a higher being and something in there, she doesn't try to answer that question. She takes it more like it's something internal that is perhaps is preventing you. If you think of people that are procrastinators, you know, there is a reason behind it that you just can't quite like figure out. And you try to buy all these books and it's just not quite working out for you. If you are in sales, right, and perhaps you're scared of talking to people,
there's a
for
reason
some reason, there is something behind it, right? And it's more of taking that approach towards life than anything. And you know, go on.
I was going to say, I really love that, man, because, you know, we are quick to go explore other people and quick to go, you know, look out into the terrain. But very few times, not saying very few, but at least people I talk to, maybe I need to expand my whole sphere. People don't sit in themselves and try to unpack their, you know, and really dissect themselves to really understand who they are. You know, and to me, I think spirituality is really personal. Yeah. I think it's difficult to go, you know, say what I believe and you take it and run with it, especially when you put in the fact that that's how someone was raised and then maybe their grandmother told them about. Yeah. I mean, so, you know, who am I to say? You know what I mean? Like, of course, you know, I'm just one dude and, you know, I got my ideas, but that's it. you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, but when you start to sit in your own self and unpack that and see the actual spiritual connection that's there. Personally, I believe there's a spiritual tie to everything that you do. Yeah. Like, there's impact. Not saying that it's, you know, doesn't have to be deep. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's something that's there with it. And so there's always something to kind of unload and unpack and dive into deeper so you can understand yourself better. And there's so many layers of us as individuals that, like, you know, man, you can spend a lifetime doing it, man. Yeah. you know what I'm saying? I mean, just from the stuff that you learn between 0 to like 5. Yeah. And how that translates for the rest of your life. You can live to 120, right? And a lot of things would have been because you didn't unpack something that happened between 0 and 5. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So I think, because it's true, you can spend, if you want to just discover that, you can spend truly a whole lifetime exploring why you do something. Yeah. Why do we call orange a color orange, and you can dig until Adam and Eve, right? Yeah. So to me, it's more like, okay, if there is something that perhaps is not working out for you, then you can dig into that. So I told you I rock climb, and
how long have you been doing that, man?
2013.
Wow, okay. You rock climb out this way on the west?
Yeah. We do like big walls.
Really?
Yeah. it took me, but I was such a slow learner. I was such a pussy, man. Like, coming from skateboarding and other sports that require to commit and you learn the hard way because you're falling, I felt that I had this fear of falling, not of heights. Because I remember like being in Tokyo for New Year's with my ex and climbing like in top of like this skyscraper's billboard.
What?
Just to like for the sake of it, right? So like, but I could do things like that, and I would be super scared to approach the edge. So now when I started climbing, it's because I love the outdoors and my best friend climbs.
It's crazy.
So I started going with them, but dude, I was such a slow learner.
Yeah.
And I remember then I helped my mom raise her dog when I moved back to California, and like when the dog was with me, he was a champ. He was such a champ. He was just out there having fun, just killing it. And then I moved to San Diego. I come back, and Milo's his name. Like, he was just such a baby at this point. And then I like started thinking back to myself on my climbing, and I'm like, dude, like, it's not that I'm scared. This is not my fear. This comes from my mom. My mom is super cautious. Like most moms out there, like, you know, protect their baby. That's how she was. And her own fear was like now part of me, but it wasn't me.
It projected on you,
It projected on me, and it was like, at this point, I didn't have Xenia. I didn't have, like, my wife telling me or helping me work through this. It was a thing of getting on that wall and like, knowing, okay, this is not my fear. You just got to push it. I didn't have anyone talking to, just like, let's just figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the thing with climbing, it allows you to push your fears every time and, like, you know, take that next step and just get up there and really figure out that, like, man, it's not that I'm too heavy or too skinny or I'm too short, too tall. I'm a girl. It's like, it's all work in your body and figuring it out, okay, how do I get there? So, like, either way, I learned. And then when I met Xenia and she would talk about these things, it made perfect sense. And I remember being after when I left and I took it through Europe, I remember being in Amsterdam for like a couple of weeks, and we had to meet at this place, Vondel Park, in the middle of Amsterdam, this beautiful park. And Xenia was late for like an hour. And my head was just running, right? At this point, it's like, I'm not even in control. Every worst case scenario is going through my head. I'm like, she's going back to Russia. She's not into this.
Yeah.
And at some point, like, it wins. So then I start walking away to go back to, like, the train station. And I see her, and she's like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. And then at that point, I'm like, man, like, this meditation thing, I need to figure it out. Because, like, my head was truly just my head. Nothing.
Are you big into it right now?
So I went through a good year exploration, like deep into spirituality myself, to then balance out what I had to. And I meditated heavily. I mean, I still do like every day, like good 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
That's good though, yeah.
But from a different perspective, not as deep as I was doing it before, but just simply to at least be in control of my thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say I'm like going to manifest anything like, no, dude, if that works for you, great. But like, to me, it's just like, I want to be in control, like make it like, this is truly my decision, not to be stuck in my head. And my entryway was simply that like, perhaps because my mom was such a cautious lady that always thought worst case scenario, my head was programmed to think worst case scenario.
Sure. So
I just didn't want to be that way. And like being there present with her in Amsterdam and seeing this and me thinking, man, she went back to Russia, and that thought actually won. Wow. It was like, okay, I need to go figure out myself and